And we are back on the WHHI-TV Daily News. Joining me is Cinda Seamon. She is, of course, with Hilton Head Fire and Rescue, and she is our fire and safety educator. Always has great information for us, and we're going to talk about back to school today. We're going to do it from a little bit of a different angle because a lot of times we talk about back to school for the kids and their safety, but there's a safety angle for parents too. So Cinda, talk to us a little bit about that.
So parents really need to pay attention when they're driving kids to school. I know it's such a routine thing and we do it year after year, but think about it. Do you know the procedures this year for drop-off and pickup? Remember, there are kids who walk to school. There are kids who ride their bikes to school. Kids don't know traffic patterns,
Right.
and they may dart out in between parked cars. They will cross not necessarily at a crosswalk. So you really have to be observant of kids and which way they're going and sort of anticipate the worst could happen. There's a lot going on. It's a lot of craziness. If you've ever been driven by the drop-off and pickup line at school, it's pretty wild. You
Right.
really have to pay attention and know what's going on. And there's a lot of moving parts, and kids act quickly and make decisions quickly. You never want to be distracted. Don't be on your phone, paying attention, putting on makeup, eating, doing something else that you shouldn't be. 100% attention should be when you're dropping off and picking up at school. It's really a busy time. It's crazy. A lot of unexpected things going on as far as kids go.
Absolutely, and of course this year, and maybe for a couple of years to come, the high school, at least on the island, is going through major construction. So that traffic pattern is going to be changing all the time. So it's, again, something to be aware of. And I think maybe it's also important to mention that there are, some churches that have preschools. There may be kids where you don't think there's going to be kids. Even if you're not dropping off a child, there may be a child somewhere that you're not even expecting it.
That's such a good point because we teach at all the preschools. And you're right, there are a lot of preschools and they have procedures as well, and they're completely different from the schools. And the other good point you bring up about the high school construction, that's going to be changing all of the time depending on what section they're working on. So lots to pay attention as a driver. That's why it's important to not drive distracted and be 100% engaged all the time. Don't get relaxed partway through the school year and think, I've got this, I've done it a million times. Things can change, and you just never want to look back and think, if I had just been paying attention.
So very, very true. And let's talk about some ways, though, before we even leave the house, that we can make our morning go smoothly and maybe make it so that we aren't as tempted to be distracted while we're driving.
Right. It really matters the mood that you set in the morning. If you're hectic and running around and not very calm, the kids are going to pick up that anxiousness, and it's not going to be a good start for anyone. The more things you can do the night before, the better. Have you gone through those backpacks? Have you cleaned them out? Do you make sure they have permission slips and things they need for that day? What about lunches? Have you prepared the lunches? Engage the kids in helping with that. Have them take part in making their lunches for the next day. Give them some ownership. They'll pick what they like. We wake up the next morning, everything's ready to go. What are we going to wear tomorrow? Even though there might be uniforms, what pieces are we going to put together? Do we need a sweatshirt? Is it cold inside the school? Is it shorts? Is it a skirt? What socks? What shoes? The more that we can have laid out and ready to go, the better the morning will go. The other thing we want to stay away from are electronics in the morning. It can be so distracting, and it can really delay kids in getting ready. All of a sudden, they're so wrapped up and they've forgotten some of the things that they needed to do before they got out of the house. So keep it a calm and quiet atmosphere and organized, and everybody can just relax and enjoy the morning and get a good start.
And, of course, doing all of those things is going to maybe ensure that you're getting out the door on time instead of a few minutes late. So again, that's important. Let's just circle back to the kids just for a minute. We've got about a minute left, and talk to us a little bit about things that parents can say to their kids that, like, hey, if you're coming out between parked cars, make sure you're looking both ways, kind of getting that in their heads as well.
They do need to go over those kinds of things with kids. It's like when we teach them when they're really little about looking both ways, walking their bike across the street. It's important to walk at crosswalks. And that's why parents, be careful. Don't pull up and be sitting on a crosswalk waiting for your next turn in line. Pay attention to that. Give those kids space to move so they can cross at a safe spot. But it's really important to talk to kids about safety and what they can expect from drivers, and let them know to make eye contact with drivers. If they're getting ready to cross, have them make eye contact, and that way everybody knows what everybody else is doing.
Absolutely. Well, Cinda, thank you as always for keeping us safe. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone on the show today for their insights and contributions. As always, our production team is behind the scenes to make all of this possible. And of course, we are honored that you have chosen to share part of your day with us. I'm Betsy McDaniel, and we'll see you for the next WHHI-TV Daily News.